Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dig even deeper into the world of clue planting.
Absolutely. I'm already starting to see my own stories in a new light, with all these layers of clues hiding beneath the surface.
That's what we like to hear. We've laid a good foundation, but now let's get into some of those strategies that can really elevate your mystery writing.
Thinking about all this, it reminds me of playing chess. Yeah. You got to anticipate your opponent's moves, in this case, the reader. You know, think a few steps ahead, maybe even sacrifice a pawn or two to gain an advantage.
That's a brilliant analogy. And just like in chess, you need to understand the pieces you're working with, the different types of clues. We talked about the categories, but how about we break them down even further, really see how we can manipulate them?
I love that. Okay, so physical clues. We've got the murder weapon, the torn clothing, the mysterious note, but those can be so much more than meets the eye, right?
Absolutely. It all comes down to presentation. What details do you highlight? For example, take the classic bloody knife. Pretty standard, right? But what if instead of just describing the blood and the blade, you mentioned that the knife is next to a rare orchid,
Okay.
one that's only found in a specific region?
Now we're talking. It's not just a murder weapon anymore, it's a potential link to a specific place, or even a particular person who might have access to that orchid.
Exactly. You've taken a simple physical clue and layered it with meaning, maybe even a red herring or two.
Okay, that's awesome. Now what about verbal clues? Those always feel a bit more slippery to me. How do you manipulate those?
It's all about subtlety. Verbal clues should be like whispers in the ear. You're intriguing the reader, not hitting them over the head with the obvious.
So instead of having a character say, I know who the killer is,
Yeah.
you might have them slip up and reveal something they shouldn't know.
Exactly. Or maybe they contradict something they said earlier while trying to appear innocent. Those little cracks in their story can be super effective clues.
It's like you're weaving together the psychology of the characters with the mechanics of the plot. I like it.
And that's what makes circumstantial clues so fascinating. You're relying on suggestion and implication to create suspicion without explicitly stating anything.
So instead of saying, this person is acting shady because they did it,
Uh-huh.
you might describe their nervous habits, their vague answers.
You're letting the reader draw their own conclusions. That's what keeps them hooked. Being actively involved in the mystery, constantly reevaluating what they think they know.
Okay, let's bring this back to our novel in progress. We've got Paris as our setting, with all its history and secrets. How can we use that to our advantage?
The setting is a gold mine. Remember the Place Vendôme and the Quai des Orfèvres we talked about earlier? They're practically characters in their own right.
Okay, so let's say our detective is poking around the Place Vendôme, all those high-end jewelers. What kind of clue could we plant there?
Maybe the detective notices a particular shop. Let's say they specialize in rare gems, or maybe there's something unusual about their security system. Later on, we learn that the stolen stone was once part of a necklace that belonged to a socialite who frequented that very shop.
Oh, I like that. It's a connection the reader might not even pick up on at first.
Exactly. And then it becomes a crucial piece of the puzzle.
What about the Quai des Orfèvres, the police headquarters?
Think about all the unique procedures they have, the technology, the history of the building itself.
Maybe there's a specific interrogation room that's known for its intimidating atmosphere. Or a file clerk who knows every detail of every old case.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless. The important thing is to ground those clues in the reality of the setting.
Make it all feel believable.
Right. Now, before we get carried away, there's one more crucial element we need to talk about. Something that can really make or break a mystery.
Okay, lay it on me. What is it?
Red herrings.
I knew it. Those sneaky little distractions. But how do you create red herrings that are clever without feeling cheap or like you're cheating the reader?
That's the art of it. First, your red herring needs to be a well-developed character, not just some random person thrown in to confuse things.
They need a backstory, a motive.
Exactly. And this is where those circumstantial clues we talked about earlier come into play. You want to plant evidence that subtly points towards the red herring.
So maybe they were seen arguing with the victim, or they have something that could be linked to the crime.
Right. You're drawing the reader's attention away from the real culprit.
It's a delicate balance, though. We want to surprise the reader,
Right.
but we also want them to feel like they could have figured it out if they were paying close enough attention.
It's a tightrope walk, but when it's done well, it's so satisfying. And remember, red herrings can also add depth to your story.
They're not just about misdirection.
Exactly. They can make your characters more complex and your mystery more intriguing.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not just about planting clues to solve a puzzle. It's about crafting a story that's both intellectually and emotionally engaging.
Now you're getting it. As we move forward, remember that every detail, every interaction, is a chance to weave a tapestry of suspense and intrigue.
I feel like I'm unlocking a secret code to great storytelling. But before we get too carried away, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. Okay, so we've explored different types of clues, how to use the setting, the importance of motivation, even red herrings. Feels like we've given our listeners a whole toolkit for crafting their own mysteries.
I like that analogy. And just like any good toolkit, you need to know which tool to use for which job.
Exactly. There's no one right way to do this.
It's all about finding what works for your story.
Okay, so we've got the tools, we've got the materials. Now we need the blueprint, right? How do we actually apply all this knowledge to write a good mystery?
Well, the best mysteries are often the ones that blend different techniques. You've got your physical clues, your verbal hints, your foreshadowing, your red herrings, all working together.
It's like weaving a tapestry, right?
Exactly. Let's go back to our novel in progress, the one with the stolen stone and the inscription about the secret of life.
Huh?
How would we approach planting clues in a story like that?
Okay, yeah, let's get practical here.
So we've got that inscription. We can use that to plant both physical and verbal clues. What if the thief leaves behind a rubbing of the inscription?
Okay.
Or maybe even a coded message that references the inscription?
I like that. It's like the inscription becomes this recurring theme connecting different parts of the story.
Exactly. And we can even use it for circumstantial clues. Maybe a suspect is overheard talking about unlocking the secrets of life, or they have a book about ancient philosophy.
It's all about those subtle hints, those little things that make the reader question everything.
And don't forget about Paris. It's the perfect setting for a mystery. We can use all those historic landmarks, those winding streets to hide clues.
I can just picture our detective following a lead through the Marais district. Maybe they stumble upon a hidden courtyard that holds a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. Remember, every place, every object, every character can be a source of clues. It's all about being creative.
So we've got the inscription, the setting, and of course the characters. How do we plant clues that reveal their motivations, their secrets?
Well, think back to what we talked about earlier, motivation. It's the driving force behind everything. So if we understand WHY the thief stole the stone, we can start to guess what kinds of clues they might leave.
For example, if they're just greedy, they might leave clues to mislead the investigators.
But if it's something deeper, maybe connected to that secret of life inscription, the clues might be more symbolic.
It's like the thief is challenging the detective to see beyond the surface.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting. You're not just leaving physical evidence, you're creating a trail of breadcrumbs that leads to the truth.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I've learned so much about how to write a mystery, and I'm ready to put it all into practice.
That's the spirit. Remember, writing is a journey.
Don't be afraid to try new things.
Trust your instincts. And most importantly, have fun. Mystery writing is about entertaining your readers, keeping them guessing, and giving them that moment when everything comes together.
So to all you mystery writers out there, remember, the clues are everywhere.
That's it for the second part of Planting Clues in Your Mystery Novel, a podcast by NotebookLM and La Compagnie des Ethnographes.